Who is this podcast for? I've broken this down by gender, and I'll start with the men first. I love fighting alongside good men. I love learning alongside truth-seeking men. I love male camaraderie. I love friendship. I love our drive. I love our motivation. I love how we band together and work to overcome adversity. I love how we pull one another up, support one another. We have so many things going for us. There's a reason that men congregate into tribes because it benefits us all. And there's a desire inside all of us to be a part of a team, to be a part of a tribe, to serve a purpose, to give what we can, to find a role within that group and become the best of ourselves. Men today are struggling. We're struggling with the errors of our ways. We're struggling with identity. Do we throw the baby out with the bathwater and start entirely new? Are we the same as women? Or do we continue down the path of our fathers? Maybe there's a bit of a middle ground. In the context of romance, men are interesting creatures. We're highly visual and have a desire to procreate abundantly. We do not have to carry children. We can spread our seed as frequently as we would like, with limited consequences. Inside of all of us is a desire to sleep with a lot of women. But for many of us, or most of us, we understand that that's a counterproductive drive. Monogamy is something that most of us really, really want. We want to be loyal to one woman. We want to look after a family, not just because it's societally appropriate, but because we feel good when we are protecting something of value or providing for something of value. We feel purpose in it. We feel a sense of responsibility. Our flesh says otherwise, and it's something that most of us learn how to contain. Others will choose otherwise or find ways to rationalize their behavior. Male loneliness is something that is an ongoing issue. We are typically less emotional, less vulnerable, less authentic. In our minds, showing weakness gives our enemy an opportunity to exploit us or take advantage of us. But in reality, putting our swords down, putting our guards down with the right people in the right context actually brings out the best in us. Our defenses serve a purpose, but when we're around the right people, they're not needed. And we can collaborate. And we can learn together and grow together and fight together and come back stronger. We're seeing a lot of extremes. You're seeing a small number of men sleeping with a large number of women, a large number of men giving up altogether, not talking to women, not asking women out, looking at the institution of marriage and saying, this is stacked against me, why would I do this? They're looking at their parents with a high divorce rate and the repercussions of broken marriages and saying, why would I do this? We are looking at women outperforming men in education, resource accumulation, and health outcomes. This has a lot to do with fatherlessness, and Warren Farrell has documented this extensively, where the outcomes that we're seeing from broken families have significantly higher adverse consequences for men. Men are being told to either be like their fathers or to be like their sisters. And which one of those is more wrong? I don't think it's a matter of saying either one of them could possibly be right. It's more of a debate on which one is more wrong, and I don't know that. But I can say that it's somewhere in the middle. Men are taught to be respectful and passive and kind and courteous. And while there's some benefit in that, it does toe the line between pushing them into their feminine and rejecting their masculine desire for ambition and confidence and challenge and overcoming adversity and being aggressive. And this message that's being given to them is oftentimes coming from a place in those who were hurt by the unhealthy masculine. So those who were abused, those who were mistreated, injured, shamed, suffocated, metaphorically speaking. In a lot of ways, the unhealthy masculine has produced the rejection of masculinity altogether. And we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And that's not what we need. So as men, we look around at a society and we say, what do we do? Who are we? and we don't know. So you have two different you have two different things going on. You have men being pushed into idleness. Let's live life, pleasure, convenience, just lack of purpose, lack of direction. Let's keep it easy. Let's see how easy we can make it. And on the other end, you have the men that can't stop. Work, work, work. Let's go after this all the time. Let's make it better and better and better. And most of those guys are running from something, not running towards something. They're running from pain. The dad that was overly critical or wasn't present in their lives. The girls that were not interested in them when they were younger. It's not coming from a healthy place, but it does produce results. And so here's where we're at with men. Do we just clock in and clock out? Come home and watch sports? Fantasy football? Go to the bars? Or are we biohacking 24/7? Are we in the gym getting the perfect six pack and the pecs just right and passive income, 10x, pursuing a life of luxury in fulfillment that actually looks a lot less like fulfillment and a lot more like a lack of fulfillment. I see it both ways. I've spent the last 4 years observing some of the most driven people, or some of the more driven people in the country. These guys are self-made. They started their own businesses. They're 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures. And we've done some analysis on them within the tribe. And an observation that has come of this is that 90% of them are running from something, some kind of trauma, either a lower T trauma or a big T trauma. And they've created a lot of value for themselves and for others. It's really, really hard to build a business. But a lot of them are finding a lack of fulfillment. I would say most of them are. As in a lot of ways, we as a community need them. They're the ones that create value, that create jobs, that create output. The goods and services that we enjoy and we more often than not take for granted, it comes from these guys. There are also a lot of guys out there that they just they want to enjoy their life for what it is. Convenience, lack of purpose, lack of direction, lack of motivation. And maybe neither of these are truly of good use. So how do we as men harness our drive for achievement, purpose, meaning? How do we subdue the world? We're called to subdue the world. There's nothing wrong with that. It's only when we turn it into idolatry. For me, it's this podcast. I looked at who I was. And I looked at my identity. I meditation, prayer, discussion with other men. What I care the most about is keeping men and women together, is keeping families together. It's my identity. For me, it was keeping my mom and dad together. Two people that I loved so much. That loved me so much. How do I create a fairy tale ending? And so I spent years listening to people, listening to relationship podcasts, reading books on evolutionary psychology, interviewing people, random people, authors, everything in between. People who have great marriages, people who have crappy marriages, Christians, non-Christians. In Christianity, we talk about the concept of objective truth. Christianity is a really, really difficult thing because we ultimately can interpret scripture in different ways and come up with different conclusions. So what is actual truth? Only our understanding of that we are trying to find objective truth. And the best thing we can do is to say that that is a pursuit. And that pursuit is best harnessed through observation, curiosity, and patience. For the women, what do I want for you guys? What do I want to tell to you guys? I want to tell you guys that I want you to understand that your beauty is a gift from God. That from the point of view of a man, there is nothing no, I shouldn't say nothing, but one of the most enjoyable things as a man is to get lost in the eyes of a woman and to be able to admire her beauty. And we as men are visual creatures. We are for sure. The problem with this is that too often women get lost in their own vanity with the emergence of social media and dating applications women know they look good simply based on the feedback that they receive from men: likes, clicks, views, swipes. The problem with that is that men do realize that there is more to women than just their looks. There's a need for inner beauty. And attraction is a wonderful thing in many ways. But relationships don't last based on attraction. Relationships that are based on conditional exchanges of value, such as wealth, status, physical appearance, will not last, or they will not go well. The Gottman's research on this, which shows that contempt is the primary precursor of divorce, is widely documented and established, meaning that it doesn't matter how good I think you look. It means deep down, I have to respect you so much that when we're both at our worst, I still care about you and value you for who you are. I have a friend, I've had a couple of friends who have married highly attractive women. One of them has told me that after a few years, he couldn't even sleep with her. He couldn't even get an erection around her. She was drop dead gorgeous, visually stimulating to every single guy. And he had no attraction to her after a few years. I have another friend who just got divorced. Similar thing. Ladies, you can do the things that make you look beautiful. The makeup, going to the gym, getting fit, doing your hair. But unless you harness it with grace and modesty, we're going to end up resenting you for it. On the other hand, you have women that are not really trying in these areas, that are saying, accept me as me. And while we are all made in God's image, we need to accept that some of us have gifts that others don't. And we need to say that if we're not putting forth a good faith effort in making ourselves look good, we shouldn't expect the opposite sex to lack attraction to us. Ladies, I get you're in a strange time, that you can go on a dating app and have a lot of men interested in you very quickly, that you can get a lot of dates. But there are some other things that are true. That you may be able to get a lot of dates, and a lot of men to sleep with you. But how few of those men are going to commit to you? And being okay with that, accepting that for what it is, and learning from it. Taking that information in, and coming out better for it. What kind of guy do you truly want to be with? Because I can tell you that not every guy is 6 feet, makes 6 figures, has a fast car, is well endowed. The numbers don't add up in a way that is going to be conducive to a lot of relationships truly working out, given the expectations from women of men. The goals of women are not, it's not going to work. It just isn't. If you want to get married, if you want to have a family, your expectations need to be more grounded in reality. And not telling you this is not being, I'm being kind by telling you this. I'm being real by telling you this. Because I want to see you succeed and I want to see you flourish. And in a world that will tell you what you want to hear, I'm not gonna disservice you in that way. %90 of women who go without having a child wanted to have a child. I think if I had to describe society today, it is one that is based in incredible insecurity. But it's really pretty simple. We're all made in God's image. We're all enough. Proverbs talks about man picking out his steps, but the Lord really defining the path. And we've got to be okay with that. Not all of us are going to have extreme wealth and extreme adventure and the best cars and the best homes and the best experiences and the wildest ongoing sex. That's okay. If we can accept that, you're going to get true joy. The comparison trap, it's going to rip you apart. I mean, I retired-ish in 2020. I was worth several $1,000,000. But in my mind, I was looking at the guys who had more. I'd worked my butt off for, 11, 12 years. When I was financially free. But in my mind, I felt like I had failed. because I didn't have 100 homes and it wasn't worth $50 million. That was my goal. And I looked around at people who had more than I had. And I couldn't see that I had achieved what I had asked God to give me, which was an opportunity to give to those in need and enough money to provide a comfortable, safe, and healthy life for my family. But yet, deep down, I felt like crap. I felt like I'd screwed up. When I used to play poker, I made, I want to say, probably $60,000 between like '03 and '08. So between the ages of 15 and 20, 21. Um, but I was always looking at these guys that were making hundreds of thousands or making millions. I was like, why am I not there? I was an okay swimmer. So my junior year of high school, I placed 16th at Division I states in my event. You know, I got sick before states my senior year of high school, but I was always looking at the guys ahead of me. I didn't have any gratitude. There were so many people that would have done so much to trade places with me. But my lack of appreciation for what I was given, it brought me down for years. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm with you. And I'm with all of you. I'm a piece of this. I'm not judging you. I am trying to help you. You're made in God's image. You are enough. You are sufficient. And you can live life without fear. How many times in Scripture is it mentioned, do not be afraid? To trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. That God works everything together for good for those who believe. I read the Bible in the last couple of years and have listened to more hours than I can track of sermons and have read books from theologians, ministers over time. I've learned from the best. Paul Washer, Leonard Ravenhill, Buddy Bacham, Charles Spurgeon. When I talk to you guys about Christianity, it's going to be a little bit different than a lot of the the mainstream today, because I think Christianity is dying out. I think it's become more about living your best life now. I think it's become more about having reassurance, self-worth, than having a relationship that is truly based on faith and love. And more about how do I get what I want. And I don't want to dilute the gospel. And again, I'm not judging anyone in any of this, because it's not a matter of if, but a matter of how much all of this is true of me too. We live in a broken world, and it is a mistake to underestimate just how broken it is. But through all the adversity, it teaches us hope. So this podcast is for men and women. I want to teach you guys how to date. I want to teach you guys how to harness both your masculine and feminine energies. For men, that puts your masculine as your primary function, and your feminine as your secondary function. Women, vice versa. You can have both sides. It actually benefits you to do so. And scripture backs this up. But you're going to flourish more if you lean into your dominant function. Hormonally, all of this adds up. Biologically, all of this adds up. There's been research done on this. Dr. John Gray. Hormonally, we are different. We are different creatures. We react differently. We have different objectives, ways of viewing the world, different forms of communication. We say things differently. We mean things differently. We're speaking different languages. And at the same time, we're both human beings. And that's the battle. We're similar and we're different. And it's finding out where those things are and accepting them for what they are. And if we can do that, maybe we can rewrite men and women. Because the past didn't work for us. It didn't. I I can't come here and say and look at our history and say that women were treated well. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make that case. It's history speaks for itself. Man has done too much harm. But that doesn't mean that we get rid of the masculine altogether. It means we rewrite it. So that's what I'm going to do.